Of course, it's still a very beautiful moment, and we're excited. And many thanks again for welcoming us into your space. Today, it's a day, and as it is a tradition every other day, her job, her duty is to be here and, of course, to share conversations that we know you'd love to hear them this morning. My name is Francis Oyeminded. In case you've missed out, do well to catch up on a newspaper review across our social media platform at CEMTV Plus. And of course, this morning we have a lot to talk about, but particularly during the newspaper headline, there was some news headline that kept repeating itself. One that is of great concern to me is the issue of the manipulation or alleged manipulation in the price of cement in Nigeria. But before digging into that, hello, Bariswa. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Francis. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Always looking good, by the way.
Well, I try to represent my ancestors.
Interesting. Quite fascinating, but it's okay.
Of course. So, today there are a lot of things to look into. But just before we dig into the conversations that we have lined up for today, FCCPC, the Federal Consumer Protection, agency, is saying that so far they have uncovered plot, twist, compromise, exploitation within the system in terms of pricing for cement in Nigeria. And presently we're buying cement as high as 15,000 naira per bag. I remember the good old days when we used to buy a bag of cement at 1,800. We used to buy at 2,500. The last time I handled a building project was in 2021, and cement was still at about 4,000, 4,500 as at that time. And waking up this morning to hear 15,000, that is times 3, almost times 4 the price that we got cement for in 2021, it beats my imagination and it raises a whole lot of concern. And to think that people are intentionally manipulating the system to defraud and exploit Nigerians is another sad reality.
Francis, when I hear people say, oh, the government is wicked, the government doesn't care for the citizens, oh, the government is this, the government is that, but you are also part of the government. When you keep increasing prices when it's not even necessary, all for what? A fellow citizens? And you still put a blame on the government. Is the government responsible for selling cement? No. Is the government responsible for increment of cement? No. These are just Nigerians just being wicked to follow Nigerians. That's what I would say, because tell me why cement will move from 4.5. There was a time when cement was 3.5. 3.5, 4.5, 12,000 to 15,000 naira. So how much are you going to put the house for if you're done doing all of this? It's just Nigerians being wicked to follow Nigerians, because at the end of the day, greed has taken over the mindset of every human. I don't know why you bother every issue that comes out of Nigeria on the government, on politicians. You that's not a politician, what are you doing to better the life of your fellow Nigerians? Nothing. Rather, you're making life difficult. If fuel is expensive, cement is expensive, the next thing you see, drivers will tell you a junction you're supposed to pay 200 naira, you end up paying 400 naira. I don't know, it's like a union or a town cry. Why not do all of this? You see cement skyrocketing, transportation skyrocketing, people selling market, the same thing. So I think this borders on Nigerians, not the government. We should just call a spade and spare the government out of this.
Compared to other countries, let's quickly look at Tanzania. Is currently selling cement at approximately 6,528 naira. Kenya is selling at 7,344. Togo is selling at 9,000 naira, whereas in Nigeria we are looking at 15,000 naira.
15,000
Ghana
naira
is selling at about 4,000 naira.
Oh my God.
So you can imagine, for 50 kg bag of cement, how much we're paying. Nigeria is the only country that we're paying almost, if you multiply by other countries, we're paying double and sometimes triple what other African countries are selling. it's a sad narrative. It is one thing for the FCCPC to uncover these criminal activities. It's another thing for them to actually deal decisively with these, because the issue of consumer protection in Nigeria has not been holistically addressed. If you look at the telecommunication sector, for instance, Nigerians keep losing on a daily basis. You go to the banking sector, Nigerians keep losing on a daily. It seems literally like the rights of the Nigerian consumer is not adequately being looked after. Because if it were, we would have the FCCPC across the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory will have its personnel across board doing due diligence to the different consumer complaints that we have. Is it about the drop calls? This morning, I made over 4 minutes worth of call, and throughout the 4 minutes on 2 calls, I didn't hear anything. I couldn't hear anything, but I've been charged for it. I sent multiple texts, I sent a text message, charged multiple times, but the text message has not been delivered.
Okay.
But I have been charged for it. So when you look at all of that and put them together, you look into the banking sector, you're being charged for, you're trying to make a transaction, and now that it's been linked, you get charged for the SMS the first time, the transaction failed, you try the second, you try a third time, you try a fourth time, the transaction has not gone through, but you have been charged for those transactions. Across board, there are different consumer protection issues that is happening in Nigeria. And as much as we appreciate the FCCPC for dealing with this issue, we do hope that it's not just going to be a research that has been conducted and a lapses or a gap that has been discovered, but drastic intentional measures be taken to address this concern. But moving away, let's go to the first conversations that we have. Now, the Niger Delta region has powered Nigeria's economy for 7 decades. While the region is marginalized and the people have been left to suffer the adverse effects of oil activities, even as the wealth made from this region has enriched other states of the Federation, individuals, for a long time, the region has been the epicenter of marginalization, injustice, cruelty, and sabotage. Akwa Ibom State, Bayelsa State, Cross River State, Delta State, Edo State, and River State have offered up their lands, their water, their mangroves, and the health of their people in exchange for the crude oil that has funded the Nigerian state, bankroll federal budget, sustained the naira, and build the roads, universities, and public institutions of every other region in this country. Now, the region got corroded pipelines. As a result of that, we get gas flares that burn through the night, polluted fishing waters, neglected infrastructure, poverty, of course, pervasive, so pervasive that children growing up in some of the Niger Delta regions, while the petroleum sector, while the region is so rich in petroleum reserve on the African continent, we have been ridiculed and left with dysfunctional institutions, abandoned roads, deplorable roads, poor health facilities, poor educational institutions, and of course, you're not even talking about the fact that multinational corporations have failed in their corporate social responsibility, all because both the community leaders, people we have elected across these different states, have failed to do justice, do right by the people who give them the opportunity to represent them. Recently, we talked about the Petroleum Industry Act and the need to set aside a certain percentage of funds for the host communities. But even as we speak, these issues continue to affect the South Niger Delta region. Now, many had anticipated that with the South Development Commission formally inaugurated on August 28, 2025 by the then Minister of Regional Development, following the signing of the South Development Commission bill into law by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Commission's mandate covers the 6 states of Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River Delta, Edo, and Rivers, and is expected to tackle the economic, social, and environmental problems in the region, working with the relevant government agencies when you put everything into perspective. And of course, the pioneer MD of the agency happens to be Ms. Usoro Akpabio, serving as the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the South-South Development Commission. And of course, since her emergence, concerns have continued to raise, questions have been asked as to what the agency represents in the Niger Delta region. In the midst of this, you recall, Barrister, recently we talked about a community in the Niger Delta region where water literally changes color in your hand.
That's
Bile community, and that is just one community. I know where I'm from, for instance, that you can no longer access drinking water in Akwa Ibom State. We used to have this groundwater that comes out and it's crystal clear and chill as if you're taking it from a refrigerator. Sure. But today we don't have that water again because of pollution. Sea life, aquatic life, farming activities, fishing is become a problem. And that is aside from the polluted air from the gas flaring. We're still talking about the community somewhere, I think in Delta State, that gas has been flaring for the past 9 months. And sure, the relevant government agencies have not been able to do anything about it. 9 whole months, that's approximately 1 year if we had to calculate. And yet, this region contributes to everything that we enjoy as a country. Now, in this 2026, we've also seen different scenarios playing out. We've seen flood. It happened in River State. It happened in Akwa Ibom State. It happened in Cross River State. I think the one in Cross River even led to the collapse of a medical facility.
I heard that.
And then when you put all of this together, the question is, what is the development agency saddled with the responsibility of looking over the region doing? And to get the answers, we get to the woman that has been saddled with that responsibility to hear her out.
Today we came to spend time with you, listen to your concerns, which your DG has already discussed. We want to reassure you that you haven't been forgotten by the state government and the federal government. On behalf of South-South Development Commission, I extend our heartfelt sympathies to every family impacted by this disaster. We mourn with those that have lost their loved ones, and we keep everyone in our thoughts and in prayers. Your homes and your livelihood, it's in contention now. And I commend His Excellency, the Governor of Cross River State, for the swift response. I sincerely appreciate the SEMA, the Red Cross, the healthcare personnel I'm seeing here, the community volunteers and the first responders whose dedication has brought comfort to all you families here. I salute all of you, the people of Cross River State, for your courage, your resilience, and the support you're giving one another at times like this. Our immediate concern is the well-being of everyone here and the other IDP we are going to see. We'll work with the state government and all humanitarian partners to strengthen relief efforts, improve access to medical care and other essential supplies. We need to identify practical solutions so that your lives can return normal. This tragedy reminds us the importance of emergency and greater investment in sensitization on sanitation and flood and resilience infrastructure to reduce all these problems you all are experiencing, and it's confronting not just Cross River State, but the entire South-South. We need urgent and coordinated attention from all hands. To every family here, please keep hope alive. Better days are coming. We remain committed to playing our own part in to build your recovery and return back to, business as usual. Mbog, let me speak in my language. Mbog, let the good Lord bless and strengthen all of you. Thank you very much. Like I said, today we came to...
Well, of course, that is Usoro Akpabio, the Managing Director of the South-South Development Commission, visiting Cross River State over some of the tragic incident that has happened. And of course, from her comment, you can also hear that she had visited the internally displaced persons camp as a result of the tragedy that has happened. And it gives some level of relief when you watch and listen to her talk about the fact that it's not just about a visit, but to appraise the situation that has happened and be able to proffer a solution. As much as that has been stated, the question most Nigerians would ask at this point is how long will these solutions last? And while many have expressed confidence in the leadership of Mrs. Usoro to be able to address concern because of the strategic engagement that she has had so far since being saddled with the responsibility to lead that office, a heart goes out to the people of the Niger Delta region. But then we hope that this relief that has been spoken about, this circle that has been talked about, will come back to the people in no distant time.
It's not enough for me to see these people in authority come all out saying my heart goes out to you and to the families of those that are mourning. We'll pray that God give you the grace to go through this period. It's not enough. Give Port Harcourt, for example. Since late 2016, we've had the thing called black soot. Black soot has been a major problem because of gas flaring, pollution in the air, and all of those oil companies that are responsible for it hasn't come out to do anything. It came up with a lot of diseases. Heart disease. It was terrible, Francis and Rivers State. Now, the people of Port Harcourt had to march out, come out carrying placard. We don't need to get to this extent to know that people's lives matters. Now, going to Cross River State or Akwa Ibom, the flood was so much that a hospital even collapsed in the process. Not to talk of the sickness and diseases that were, cascaded on children and adults. It's one thing to sympathize, but the major thing is doing the work. Do we have the money to do all of this? Yes, we do. Are we doing it? No. All we see is coming up with stories, aid, we sympathize, we see you, we have you in our hearts, but yet you're not doing what you're called for. That's my major problem, Francis. I don't really down with this coming on. I know Usoro is trying, but I feel people in power can actually do more than this.
Well, as far as the Development and Intervention Agency is concerned, it works on multiple ways. You're looking at first agency collaboration. The South Development Commission collaborating with the relevant state government agencies. The state government has to be able to come on board for some of this to happen. And then you're also looking at the different federal government agencies and state government agencies. You're looking at the multinational corporations operating within the Niger Delta region. So as much as we would want relief and succor to come to this region, ASAP, as soon as possible, it is also necessary for us to have a holistic representation of what the people are, a holistic appraisal rather of what the people are going through. And for me, the first thing that Usoro has done that makes me feel like she is interested as a woman who should be able to have that motherly instinct and that motherly empathy and compassion for the people is going on the assessment herself and not sitting down in the office like we see some government officials do, send their subordinates to go assess the situation and then of course come back and give them feedback. Taking herself down to the different places herself is going to give her that first-hand experience and encounter with the people and the scenario playing out, and that also gives some level of intentionality and should be able to fast track whatever plans should be put in place to cushion the effect. The other one will depend on how swift the respective state government have been able to key into whatever plan and strategy is being developed or has been developed to deal with these issues. Remember, we've had scenarios where federal government agencies is coming into the region and there is a fight over who is going to take credit for what and who should take credit for what.
Oh, that too.
We've seen it happen in road construction where the NDDC says, oh, we want to construct this road, and the state government says, no, we've already awarded this road. And if you go to look at the history, you see the road must have been awarded 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and nothing has been done. But somebody is coming in to say, I want to fix this road because the people need this road. And the government is saying, no, we have to do this, all of that. But I do hope that the government of Cross River State, in this context, will be able to holistically, Governor Basia too is known as the fine boy governor, or the bearer of good news for River State people.
Okay.
He should be able to, work with the South Development Commission to address the concerns in Cross River State. But coming back to rivers and other areas where we've also seen, the issue of flood and other issues that have affected the communities. Let's go back, because like I had highlighted in our earlier, background, we have 6 states under the South Development Commission.
Sure.
Of course, you have rivers, you have Cross River, you have Akwa Ibom, and the rest of the states that have been highlighted. Let's get back to Mrs. Zora and hear a comment on some of the other key issues affecting the region and how the development agencies seeks to intervene on the matter.
Been to all the sites in Cross River State.
Yeah.
Where we have natural disaster. What's your take about all of this?
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today was both emotional and enlightening. We visited the erosion-affected communities and the internally displaced persons IDP camps to assess the situation firsthand and engage directly with the people affected. What we saw today was really heartbreaking. We met families who have lost loved ones, homes and livelihoods, and witnessed the difficult conditions under which many are currently living. Beyond the physical destruction, we saw the emotional and humanitarian impact this disaster has had on entire communities that we visited. We also witnessed the dedication of the Cross River State government, the SEMA, the Nigerian Red Cross Society, the NEMA that is with us today, the health workers, the community volunteers, and other first responders who continue to provide relief and hope to those in need. This visit reinforces the urgent need for coordinated action. While immediate humanitarian assistance, like medical care and relief, remain critical, we must also invest in long-term solutions through resilient infrastructure, environmental protection, flood and erosion control. Public sensitization is very important, and get ready for stronger disaster preparedness. The South Development Commission stands in solidarity with the good people of Cross River State. We will continue to work with the state government, relevant federal government agencies, and development partners to advocate for strong support and interventions needed to help the affected families recover and build safer and more resilient communities here. We are overwhelmed today, really, and we want to say today, the good people of Cross River State have shown us a lot of strength in character, and I'm very happy to have our partners, NEMA, SEMA, and every other person here. We lend our voices together and say, let's all hands be on deck. God keep them, strengthen the good people of. In fact, we're so overwhelmed. This is the Cross River State representative in the board of SSDC. My ED Environment and Environment Development is here. The ED Environment, Project and Infrastructure also, is all over the place looking at what is going on so that we can channel a solution with other relevant agencies. Like we know, primarily the first thing is to ensure lives and properties, especially lives. We need to prevent more losses. The rains are not going to stop. So, we encourage every one of us that I find here today. We encourage the good people of Cross River State. We want to thank the governor again. We want to thank everyone. It's not easy today. We are overwhelmed, really. And just to say, please, everybody be strong. Help is coming from all quarters. Thank you very much.
Help is coming is the promise made by the Managing Director, South Development Commission, Ms. Usoro Akpabio. We do hope that this help comes and gets to the people in time to be able to ameliorate the sufferings of the people. But moving away from that, aside from the help coming to the people, questions are also coming at this point, because the agency was created to deal with, the different issues coming out of the South. It's a Niger Delta, or the South region, the Niger Delta region. You're looking at the issue of gas flaring that we've highlighted earlier on. You're looking at the issue of oil spill. You're looking at the loss of ecosystem. You're looking at, the loss of livelihood, economic hardship, and the health crisis happening within the area. The people of the region would want to see a robust engagement between the development agency and the respective state government, and of course alongside with the multinational corporations operating within the region.
Facts.
In recent times, we've seen even multinationals telling the National Assembly, look, we are not answerable to you, when being called upon to answer for some of the things that they are doing. And it beats my imagination that in a country where there are laws, people doing business, foreigners coming in to do business, will be so emboldened to challenge the institution that controls the affairs of that country. And it raises a lot of questions. So the people of the region expect that, the South Development Commission will be able to interface and proffer solution to some of the biggest challenges. What are we looking at? You're looking at, hospitals, primary healthcare facilities, tertiary, healthcare facilities, and even specialist healthcare facilities within the region to address a lot of content. The issue of cancer, the issue of maternal health as concerns of women and pregnancy and all of that. You're looking at the fact that people are losing their means of livelihood. So empowerment, proper empowerment that should be able to offer the people an alternative means of livelihood, since the one that God entrusted to us have been polluted, have been damaged by the activities of the oil drills happening within the region. We're looking at, intentional leadership and direction that will show the region that, having existed for the past 6 to 7 decades and producing the wealth that carries Nigeria, now that there is finally somebody who remembers the contribution of the region and seeks to address the marginalization of the region, we should not play politics with it, but rather be able to look back, because the agency is still a baby, we can call it, 2025, 2026, but in 2 years, in 3 years from now, in 4 years from now, we should be able to see tangible impact that the people of the region can say, oh, before this agency came into existence, this is how the regions were. This was the state of our educational institutions or facilities. This was the state of our health facilities. This was the state of our roads. And now we have been able to access XYZ facilities, and infrastructures. As a result of the intervention of this agency, we've been able to have an alternative to the source of drinking water that had been polluted hitherto before now. As a result of this, our health facilities have been well equipped with medication, and we have health facilities built across the region, close proximity to the people, to allow for easier access to the medical facilities. I think these are some of the concerns that the people of the region are praying and hoping that Mrs. Usoro Akpabio will be able to bring to bear.
In as much as the citizens are praying that SSDC, Managing Director Usoro Akpabio, that's speaking for the agency, response to flooding, come up to do the needful. My concern borders on the citizens. There have been places, like you earlier highlighted, where maybe NDDC want to, take up a project. You see the government say, no, this project has been given to a certain company and they're going to handle it. And for like 10, 15, 20 years, nothing has been done. That's another problem. And there's a problem where the people don't even want development to come to their state. Yes. I'll take River State, for example. There are places where you see construction is about going on. You see people, tout, coming all out, that lives in the same community, saying you should pay matching grant. I've seen cases where you say you need to settle the people of the land before bringing development to them for their own betterment. So it borders on both the people and the local community and also the agency. There should be synergy. There should be cooperation. We're doing this for the sake of mankind. We're doing this for your health's sake. We're doing this for the sake of your children to come, and yourself. So it's high time the citizens and also these agencies come together and the government body and collaborate. I don't want to see a place where they've decided to collaborate to do this, build hospital, schools, good roads, and here the community is not giving them free rights because they've not paid certain amount. I don't want to see that happen. Now, coming back to flooding, I think it also borders down on us living in this community. When was the last time you cleaned your drainages? When was the last time you had proper sanitation? I grew up in an era where every Saturday you just have to clean your drainages, clean your surrounding. It was a must. And if you don't, they have certain law, put aside to punish any household that didn't carry that out. Now, I lived in the barracks. I was raised in the barracks. Now, we say we're exempted, security. No, you have to do it. Then if you go outside when it's not 10 o'clock, the sanitation people, doing that sanitation will arrest you. And you pay a certain fee because they expect you to go do the needful, clean your surroundings, clean the gutters. But what do we have today? We see dirt littered everywhere in the country. You see, even the drainages that are meant to protect us when it's flooding, that's where you see people go put their waste. So what do you expect the government to do? The government can't come from the house to clean because the elites, they're living a different life from you and myself. So if you don't protect what you have, how will help come? So it borders both on the citizens, the government, and the agency to do what is necessary.
Well, I love the fact that, taking our minds back to the defense of the 2026 budget, when the MDDC Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Usoro Pabio, made her proposal and budget known, and of course defended the agency, budget proposal for 2026. Some of the things she said, boils down on understanding what the agency represents. And I'd like to read something, directly coming out from it, where she told the lawmakers, in quote, that the region, talking about the South region now, development must reflect its substantial contribution to Nigeria's economic strength, ensuring that the South benefits proportionally from the wealth it generates. It is essential for the country's long-term, stability. It also emphasized that the region, of course, the oil-rich region now we're talking about, needs to be strengthened. And of course, the strengthening of that also goes back to the overall sustainability. And at the beginning, this initial stage of the intervention agency, there's also need for institutional foundation, laying the foundation across, the agency that will ensure and guarantee that the purpose and the focus of the agency, the mandate that has been entrusted to the agency, can be holistically addressed. Because the first stage of any government institution is the foundation stage. If you don't lay the right foundation, if you don't have the right blueprint, if you don't have the right template, if you don't create the right system in place, then everybody's going to walk on the shadows, and it will become another, God forbid, it will become another conduit pipes for corrupt politicians who find their way into this agency to pilfer from the public treasury while the people continue to, language in poverty. And don't forget, Bariswa, whatever compromise happen within the South region, it takes a level of collaboration between our brothers and sisters entrusted with our responsibility of leading and representing us, and people coming out from off the region. At the end of the day, the expectation on Ms. Usoro is that she will be able to set the template that even women seeking leadership position will also be able to have something to reference, that within the corridors of power it will be a point of reference that a woman chaired, pioneered this commission, and as a result of her leadership, XYZ were achieved. So by the time another person comes in, we already have a template, we already have a parameter to measure your achievement, because somebody has done a phenomenal job letting the region know that they matter in terms of infrastructure, in terms of dealing with the key issues and the core mandates of the agency. But moving away from, the South-South Development Commission and the issue affecting the South-South region, or the Niger Delta region, the security incident or situation in River State and Nigeria has continued to generate a lot of concern. And what are those concerns? People are no longer obeying traffic laws. People are driving one way, driving against traffic. People are not observing the different traffic signs. We're also talking about the last time the Inspector General of Police gave order, people driving with ineligible plate numbers or license plate numbers, people who don't even have license plate numbers in their vehicle, people who drive with tinted glasses without permit, and all other issues that has continued to enhance criminal activities has been a major cause for concern. Now, we saw that yesterday the River State Commissioner of Police, CP Olubenga Adepoju, led officers and traffic wardens in the enforcement of Operation Velvet, an initiative aimed at educating motorists and other road users on traffic rules and the proper use of traffic lights. That is so Christian. I wish we could get back to that, the comment made by the FRSC commandant in Rivers State, where he highlighted the need for engagement, the need for awareness, a need for educational campaigns, because sometimes the people who drive on our roads don't even go to driving schools. And because you've not gone to driving schools, you don't know what a zebra crossing is. You don't know, in one of our clips, one of the drivers said something that we all laughed about, and he said, "This is the reality." He said, when you see the yellow side, it means go, and when you see the red side, it says ready to go. And when you hear things like this, it clearly points you back to the fact that a lot of people who are behind the wheels on our roads have not done due diligence in terms of going for training.
When you say people behind the wheels haven't gone for due diligence, getting the necessary training before driving, it comes down to road safety. Before you issue that license, I feel there should be a policy where, let's take you on a drive test. I know it's going to be a rigorous process, but that way we're keeping everyone sane in real estate and in Nigeria safe. Let's take a drive test. Ask the question that are needed to be asked. Don't just handle the what's it called, the driver license, because that person has paid. How well do you know your road? How well do you know your signs? These and other questions should be what the road safety should actually look out for before they even talk of you go get your license and that. And also saying people disobey traffic laws. Francis, charity begins at home. True or false?
True.
Are you aware that most security personnel breach this same traffic situation we're talking about? They are accomplices, not just the ordinary road users or drivers. You see that maybe they are, I don't know, in a civil line clan, you see where the president said it's going on a convoy, and it's saying people don't need to run helter-skelter. The convoy just goes and obeys traffic rules. But in River State, in Nigeria, because you see one politicians, maybe with the side chicks, don't laugh, with a side chick in vans and bullion van and all of that, they'll just disobey traffic rules for no reason. And everybody should just run and hog transformer because certain politician is going with his entourage of girls. So before you say road users or drivers are not obeying traffic rules, how about you? The same security personnel that escorts these politicians, they break the rules. So what do you expect ordinary Nigerians to do? Before you remove the speck from your eyes, from someone's eye, remove from your own.
It's a salient point that you've raised this morning, and it takes my mind back to incidents that have happened even recently while we were being dropped off after work. One of those evenings, it got to a point around Dobiri Kwere, that U-turn, that there was a truck trying to come out of that refuel station, blocking the road, and for those of us who had to just take the U-turn, one SUV was coming from one way, the other
that's
side,
their pattern.
and so a driver was like, "Sir, can you please go back and drive properly?" And it was raining. Vehicles were busy blaring their horns, everybody trying to curse the driver of the vehicle, but he just wound up and stayed inside and just left the car there. And then a driver had to step down and go and meet him, And then when he wound down, told me, "Sir, please, can you go back so everybody can pass? This truck is not going to be able to pass unless you allow people to pass." And then when he came back, I was like, "That's a police personnel." He said, "I'm an officer."
And so?
Can't you see I'm an officer?
Hello?
And I'm like, okay. I wish, sometimes we can't blame the leaders, because it is we who have emboldened these officers.
True.
I've always times advocated for citizenship arrest or citizen arrest, where security agencies are doing illegal things that they're not supposed to do by the law. The same way they arrest people should be the same way they are arrested and handed over to the authorities to deal decisively with them, because sometimes they are the ones who are also having creating these problems for us as Nigerians. But let's listen to CP Adekpoju, speak to Nigerians or the River State residents on Operation Velvet and what it means.
It is to ensure that all drivers comply with all regulations and directives as far as vehicles are being used on the road. All traffic regulations, you'll discover that we've been having gridlock accident because of flagrant disobey for traffic rules and regulations. And the Inspector General of Police, IGP Olotunji Disu, PSC Daga, NPM has directed that we commence Operation Velvet, in which all vehicles will strictly comply, will make sure they comply to all traffic rules and regulations. There will be all traffic signs, prevent them from causing hold up and blocking roads, enforcing all necessary regulations as far as traffic is concerned to ensure we don't have accidents, people move freely on the road, and equally making sure that all their documents as far as their vehicle is concerned is registered.
He also warned the officers against using the operation as a means of extorting money from members of the public. The
Of course, having the CP enforce the order, Operation Velvet there, and speaking personally to the men and women of the Nigerian police force, and also highlighting the fact that officers have been won. And that goes back to what I had said earlier on before, we had to listen to the CP, that we as citizens have to report. Because take your mind back to when the CP was enforcing the order on illegal roadblocks as directed by the Inspector General of Police. Even officers that were ordered a day after, 2 days after, returned back to open the roadblocks. And sometimes, you can't blame the leadership, as much as management will say, yes, when the downlines are misbehaving, you blame the leader for not doing right. There is a need for us to sanitize the process of even, recruitment and recruiting people into the security police forces. And think that is where I will also be in support for the touted or talked about state police. There have been advocacy and concerns that Nigerians have raised. We should not employ people who are not graduates into the security forces. So we can at least know that they can read, they can write, and they will be able to understand their core duties as police officers. Because these are some of the concerns sometimes you meet the police officers and you ask yourself, is this person, this policeman that is standing here, even educated? Because somebody is asking you for driver's license and you hand over a driver's license, for instance, and the police personnel does not know what a driver's license looks like, and then begin to tell you this is not a driver's license. In fact, is this Nigerian driver's license?
On broad daylight.
You know, and then you for some of us, you begin to ask yourself, I bet, did I get a driver's license from Ghana, be Togo, and brought it back to Nigeria? You know, so these are concerns that we need addressed. But I love the fact that this operation is happening because Nigerian drivers need to be conscientized. They need to be aware of the different. In fact, they need a reminder. If I had my words, I would say the FRSC should conduct a refresher course mandatorily.
Oh, I would love it.
All drivers across the streets of Nigeria. That every state, every local government, we have maybe a period of, they give an extended period of, say, from this moment to this moment, it is mandatory for all drivers to go enroll and have 1 or 2 weeks refresher course on road signs, on vehicle particulars, and what is expected of you to be certain that your car is even roadworthy. Because most of the accidents we have is as a result of vehicles that are not roadworthy. You find somebody whose tire had long lost its teeth, and the person is driving during this rainy season with those same tire. So you find somebody who has not changed his brake pad in the last 1 year, still driving. And then, if anything happens, you will find the person drag on with the brake from January to December, and there'll be no reaction because you are not taking care of the vehicle.
Yours is even better. At least the tire, those ones are obvious. You see the wiper on the car? Some persons don't even have it. They are driving with one hand, and they're using another hand to use rag to clean the screen. Make it make sense when it's raining. And yet they will pass the security personnel. Nobody's going to stop you. I think I'm in line with what you're saying, advocating that the FRSC should come and, you know, do that fresher course and also check for drug tests. Some drivers are highly intoxicated.
Very, very, very necessary.
I sat close to the other one day and, my God, what was oozing? I almost got drunk. As in, this guy was reeking of alcohol, plus maybe other substance, and he was on the wheel. I wanted to calm down, but what do? I was just saying, God help me, let me get to my bus stop. What is going on? One of those rainy days. I think they need to check for alcohol, drug tests, then before you talk of the license, because all of this compares to what we have today, creating this nuisance in the society.
It's a good thing that this move is, you know, it's happening, and I like to commend the Inspector General of Police for the different, you know, steps that has been taken to safeguard lives and properties across the streets of Nigeria. And one thing Nigerians will always advocate for, let the enforcement not be a one-off thing. That we see the CPs across the states of the Federation leading the awareness campaign, leading the enforcement, and a week after, there are no clear-cut modalities put in place to sustain this monitoring and implementation. Because truth be told, like you have seen, from what was observed during the, you know, illegal or ineligible vehicle plate numbers and all of that, illegal roadblocks, that you went to you know, examine the area, or you went on oversight as the CP, and the next day the people are back, even when you are given a direct order, you know, that this is illegal, dismantle this roadblock and don't ever have it again. But you leave today, the next day the people are back. So it calls for not just enforcement, it calls for not just monitoring, but also consistency in the monitoring and evaluation, and most importantly, punitive actions to officers who go against the order that has been issued by the authorities of the agency. Then, of course, let's get back. Our producer has just informed us we have the video from the FRFC. We'll just listen to the commandant and then, of course, come back to this conversation.
Speaking to CEMTV, the FRSC sector commandant said zebra crossings remain a critical part of road infrastructure, providing safe crossing points for pedestrians, especially around traffic intersections, schools, markets, and other busy locations. He noted that many road markings across the state have faded over time due to inadequate maintenance, while some high-traffic areas still lack zebra crossings. The commandant explained that the FRSC's role is largely advisory, including conducting road. Speaking to CEMTV,
impact to do. We do that once in a while. It is the appropriate state government agency that is responsible for that. So what we do is we construct road audits that highlights some of these deficiencies, that highlights some of the necessary road safety structures and furniture that are needed. We compile this and we forward to appropriate authority for action.
He also called on private organizations to support road
for sure that there is no how anybody, any driver can obtain a driver's license as it is now without going through driving school. Because without going through driving school, it will be difficult to get driving school certificate. And without the driving school certificate that is coded, there's no how you can obtain a driver's license. So that is the structure on ground. If we see anybody driving out there without a driver's license, definitely that person has not gone through driving school. So there.
By all means, if you intend to be on the road, please get to learn properly how to drive. It's not just about obtaining the driver's license or getting the certificate, because we know this is Nigeria.
Okay.
And the chances of people manipulating their ways to get the driver's license is evidently clear. So as a driver, as somebody intending to drive or get behind the wheels, know that you are not just holding your life, but the life of others. And sometimes because of, the protected measures on the driver's side, most times when accident happens, the drivers don't die. It is the passengers. Because they are protective. I mean, there are airbags and all other protective, measures that have been put in the side of the driver that the passengers don't have. So it is important that you do not just protect your life as a driver, but protect the lives of others. You recall the scenario of the public transport from, I think, Abia State, where the driver had a disagreement with the passenger on the front seat, and he rammed the vehicle. The person died, but the driver, but for the actions of the Nigerian police force personnel, were able to trace him alongside with the transport company he was working with to go arrest him. He will be, roaming free. Meanwhile, the family have lost a loved one, have lost a provider, a husband, and a father. So there's a need for all of us to work together to do right.
I think, Francis, from the Commandant FRSC, what he's saying this morning, Mr. Francis is saying, get a driver's license. By all means, get a driver's license. Are you aware the Nigerian syndrome that not all drivers went to driving school? I had a conversation with a group of young guys around my neighborhood, and they're like, sis, 5 days I'm done driving. Like our local palace, 5 days I don't drive finish. Enough he had. Like, you won't go to driving school. I know if we waste that kind of money. I said, how about your driving license? I will run them now. Now, these and other people of this character are actually behind the wheel. It will shock you to know that some of these transport companies hire this kind of people too. They are not learned. They don't know what it takes to drive. Just I can drive. Maybe you watch an action movie. You a guy should understand. After watching action movie, you start hitting the road, start driving, using your uncle's vehicle or using your dad's vehicle. I don't need to go to driving school, and yet you have the life of people. Also, those on the highway, Francis, if you see them, you always be praying that God should take you home. You see those drivers on the highway, they don't give a hoot about your life. They are under drug influence, alcohol. They are not educated. Their conscience has been sold off to speak of. But yet, the same people go all out, take passengers from one state to the other, and remit money to the transport company. So I think the Road Safety Corps can actually work hand in hand with this transport company. Who are you employing as a driver? What's the criteria? Do they know their road signs? The vehicle itself? Are they sane? Mentally, are they sane? Because in Nigeria, we have a whole lot of people that has gone cuckoo. But yet, they are behind the wheel. So it takes a lot. Not just saying having driver's license. It takes a lot. We need to go deeper.
Well, apart from going deeper, we also have a responsibility as Nigerians. Before you board a vehicle, please observe who is driving. Take a little moment to observe the person driving. Whether it's a short distance or interstate transportation, make sure to access the driver's disposition. Try within the short minute you have his personality. Strike up a conversation if need be to ascertain that this person can actually take you to where you are. I mean, within his human capacity, because at the end of the day, every other driver is like a crazy man on the road, and he might be careful. Some other person drives and brings problem. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility. When your driver is going out of line, please call your driver to order. But moving away from that, the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, is under attack again, as we have the senator representing the FCT, Riti Kinkibe, raising concerns over the flooding that has ravaged the Federal Capital Territory. It's a rather disappointing twist because the FCT, which happens to be the seat of power for Nigeria, many would expect that the issue of flooding should be a forgotten issue. But where waterways have been built upon, and according to the FCT minister, many top politicians have decided that their only way to build is to build on waterways. Green areas have been taken over by some corrupt politicians, and according to Senator Riti Kinkibe, this is not something that is just happening. These are concerns that she has raised as a representative of the people, because she did not want it to get to a point where the blocked waterways will now result in flooding and people will lose their lives, they'll lose their properties, and will have to start afresh. Whereas these could have been avoided. Now, the FCT minister yesterday said that the FCT administration was going to demolish every structure that is standing on the waterways. And in his usual empiric manner, he stated that no matter who owns these buildings, the building must go down. That is the comment that the FCT minister made. And of course, in reaction to this, the likes of human rights activist Dej has also reacted, saying the FCT minister is not doing right by this comment. But let's hear from Wike and of course judge for herself. The areas that were supposed to be green are no longer green because they've been given out to people. Now, Deji has also accused the FCT minister of being behind what is happening, accusing him of giving green areas to his cronies for building. Okay. And he's also accusing him of, giving places that are supposed to be waterways to people also to build in. So at the end of the day, is the FCT minister doing right, or is he going after political opponent? And don't forget, this morning he stated that if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu wanted to win Osun State, by all means, he would have been the one sent to Osun State.
Such statement.
So when you look at a man who has made that kind of statement, and look at the fact that elections are around the corner, and then of course, top politicians are the ones being targeted by this. We'll have to watch and see how this pans out. But let's hear from the FCT minister.
Unfortunately, we have gone there and we have seen how people have blocked channels where in the master plan, that is the right way where water is supposed to be channeled. People by their positions have blocked it, believing that nothing will happen. I have told people this in life, that nothing happened yesterday does not mean that something will not happen today. That it did not happen today does not mean it will not happen tomorrow. Now you have done your own by blocking the water channel and nothing has happened. Thank God the flood has come. He has done our attention to the place. Now something will happen. I'm going to bring those houses down. Any house that's found on the channel, water channel will go down. From today to Saturday, if the government controls the light, let them find any excuse. If they are on their way to find excuses, too bad. They can't. We will demolish all those houses found on the water channel. Some of them are senators. Some of them are big men. The next thing you will see campaign now. Oh, why is he doing this during period of election? That is the next campaign you will see now. Stop him. Let us finish election. Whether there's election, there's no election, all those houses will go down. Heaven will not fall. Rather, heaven will be at peace. Like right.
Well, you've heard it from the FCT minister. Heaven will not fall, and with
will be
or
at
without
peace.
election, the houses must go down. Now, as much as we must also face the truth, let's keep election seasons out of the line. Let's keep political sentiment out of the line. The question is, are these houses within the waterways? Looking at the FCT master plan, as stated by Riti Kinkibe, if the house belonging to a senator, past, present, is along the waterway, that a senator who should know and be informed enough to not build along the waterway had the mind to do so, I would say it should go down.
Okay.
Because when we have flooding, it is not the senator that is suffering. It is the common man across the streets of Abuja. I have had friends, last year I had friends who lost they lost everything.
To
flooding. They went to work, and by the time they returned back to the house, the entire house had been overflooded.
Oh my God.
Documents gone, electrical appliances gone, beddings, virtually every household material. Imagine coming back to your house and you find that water had gone up to the ceiling level. You cannot salvage anything, because in the midst of that, there are things that have been taken away from your house by the water, and the ones that have soaked beyond redemption. So if the houses are within the waterways, FCT minister, we stand with you. Take it out. But if you're also targeting politicians, we hope that these politicians are not politicians of the opposition alone. We should be able to see that, because you cannot tell us, for instance, that all the politicians from PDP are the ones who own houses in the waterways.
It can't be.
It cannot be.
It can't be.
So if we are bringing down the houses along the waterways, let it be seen to be fair, let it be seen to be just, that the houses demolished are actually along the waterway and the cuts are crossed. And then, if you're also been found wanting, as alleged by Deji, that you have given green areas and waterways. There's one here particularly mentioned that where's that area, that the FCT minister allocated waterways to an individual behind Model Secondary School Maitama, who sandfilled and covered the entire drainage.
You see,
now this is a place that has been highlighted.
Okay.
So Deji is not mentioning everywhere. He has highlighted at least one place. So if you have also compromised as the FCT minister, there is need for you to demolish that building, that structure that you gave to your friend. And if you have not, then of course, the law is there for you to handle it out. But at the end of the day, we want Abuja sanitized. Not just Abuja, every state of the federation. People should learn and know that they cannot build along waterways. Government agencies who see people building along waterways and turn a blind eye because they've been given money should know that if it floods today, the fact that it's not affecting you today,
it will affect
you tomorrow, or it will affect somebody that you know tomorrow.
But you know, Francis, there's something called planners, town planners.
Town planners.
I don't even see that happening in Nigeria these days. I feel once you allocate a property to somebody, you start building. What happened to town planners? What happened to environmental agencies, local community, and specialized experts to tell you if this place is a green area? If you can't see, let's say you cannot see, you need help, you cannot see that this area is actually a green area. What happened to you bringing experts to check the soil level? Is that good for you to build a house or start up a business or a plaza? Why do we just throw caution to the wind because we can afford anything and everything, forgetting that there's an adverse effect that will tell on the people of that community, of that state? If he wants to demolish, he should go ahead, demolish if they are in green areas. But then, who gave out this land? The engineers, the town planners. Did you consult an environmentalist? Did you consult experts? Because all your money will just go down the drain. Now imagine sand filling a whole area, a green area, just to erect a building at the detriment of who? Me and you. It is high time we call a spade and call in professionals when it's necessary. Certain things shouldn't just happen. We shouldn't turn blind eyes, just like Francis said, because they've given you certain amount of money, knowing fully well that this will affect you, your family, your friends, and the entire society. This is a risky adventure to start with.
Well, it's a risky adventure. It is important to note that the Capital Core and Phase 1 area in Abuja is designed to house primary seats of government, national monuments, embassies, and high-density business districts. The green areas and buffers, designated ecological zone, parks, and natural water channels meant to absorb heavy tropical rainfall and manage urban microclimate. Now, when this particular zone is eroded and has now become a residential area, and developers have turned it into real estate platforms, then you are calling for disaster. I like the fact that Iriti Kinkibe had spoken out, and she's still speaking, but it's one thing to speak, it's another thing to take action. And I would always say, regardless of political difference, the one thing that all the leaders owe Nigerian is delivery. The one thing they owe Nigeria is transparency, is accountability. And Iriti, as the representative of the FCT, owes it to the people to ensure that these issues is addressed. If you had written, like she highlighted, she's written to the FCT minister, written to all the federal agencies, highlighting these complaints, and they were ignored, then take it up with the laws of the land. If people breach the law and you sit down and do nothing, even with the capacity that you have as a representative of the people, as Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, then you're telling the common man on the streets of Nigeria that there's nothing we can do.
No hope.
Have you raised it as a motion on the floor of the National Assembly? Has it been brought to the floor of the Senate? Has this issue been addressed? Have you petitioned the FCT minister to the man who appointed him, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Mr. President, this is the FCT. This is what is happening. This is what I've observed. This is what I have researched and gathered evidence. I have written and tried to seek, a way to resolve this with the FCT minister, and there is no way out. I am petitioning him. Call him into order. Let these issues be addressed. If you have not taken those steps, then it is useless to come on national TV or even in newspapers to come and say, oh, I have highlighted these issues, because there are channels to address all of this concerns. If you've done that, then you have been vindicated. But we also call on people, Nigerians, let's normalize building what should be built, where it should be built, and how it should be built. If you go into an area as a developer and you're told, oh, this is residential, please ensure that you build a residential area. Don't pick a residential area and you go and build a hotel, or you go and build school.
Oh, that.
Or a shopping mall. Make sure that whatever you're building aligns with the town original master plan of what should be built in these areas. I like to believe, that the FCT minister will do justice, and the relevant agencies will also do justice. Let's do right by Nigeria. Flooding is destroying innocent lives, and we don't want to get to imagine what these people have to experience years after they must have encountered, this flooding and lost everything. But that's the size of our package this morning on CEMTV's Dissect. And just before we go, Bariswa.
And I keep saying, hold your government accountable. Your vote, my vote, put them in power. So hold them accountable. And you as a citizen, please be a law-abiding citizen for the sake of you and myself, for a better Nigeria.
If Nigeria is good, it is our collective interest. It is our collective actions and inactions that makes it good. If it is bad, it is still our collective actions and inactions that makes it bad. We can do better, and a new Nigeria is possible, but it starts with you and I taking intentional actions and responsibility across board. My name is Francis Oyima Edit. Many thanks for joining us on CEMTV Dissect this, a beautiful day. And this is where we draw the curtains. I am Francis Oyima Edit, and I've been doing this with
Bariswa Christian Winger.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.